A change is coming, a change so great that it exceeds all expectations. Intuition, usually infallible, has failed this time to anticipate what is coming. There is more than a simple change happening in the energy field, it is a total transformation of the connection to abundance. The activation is so deep and real that once it is complete, life will be unrecognizable. This is not just a promise, but a warning. Something priceless awaits at the end of the journey, a key, a secret, a formula that is not taught but discovered. But to receive it, one must go through a process that is not for everyone, but for the chosen few. A sense of impending change has long been in the air. Abundance seems to flirt but slips away, money promises to come but is delayed, opportunities seem real but disappear, brilliant ideas are born and fade away for no apparent reason. And it's not an accident, it's not just disorganization, and it's not the result of wrong actions. The key to change is not in external circumstances, but within. So, Scorpio, there comes a moment when you turn the symbolic key to your deserved destiny. This turn opens the gate to both the depths of the underworld and the heights of heaven. Your mission in this world goes beyond simply existing on the surface. You are called to transform, to restore, to free yourself from shackles, and to forge new paths, even when others lose hope. However, in order to open these new horizons, you must break down your own barriers and limitations. And that's exactly what you're about to do. The tool for doing so will be something surprisingly simple that may cause doubt in your rational mind, a glass of water and salt. But don't underestimate this act. This is not just a ritual, superstition, or playing with symbols, but a powerful energetic reprogramming. You should realize that money, Scorpio, does not respond to sacrifice and suffering, it responds to certain vibrations. And your vibrations are ready to soar to unprecedented heights. Today marks the end of a tedious cycle where everything comes with great difficulty. The period when you wonder, what else do I have to do, is ending. It is the end of a time when, despite your best efforts, results remain elusive. Alas, the efforts remained in vain. The reason was the inability to accept a simple truth: the flow of life is uncontrollable. Well-being does not arise from logical constructs, it is awakened by an inner agreement, an unshakable decision: I am no longer running from myself, no longer limiting my possibilities, no longer engaging in self-destruction. And so, it is time to activate this process, but not with the help of external rituals or empty promises, but through simple things: water, salt, and your own word. After all, every word spoken by Scorpio has a special power, intention and magnetism, able to rebuild the universe. When the soul speaks without fear, the universe does not hesitate, it generously bestows, and this is not just a theory, it is a law of physics, it is reality itself. Abundance will come in such a volume that there will be a need to share, because the cup will be overflowing. Scorpio will become a conduit of energy, and then the true understanding will be revealed: wealth is not for demonstration, but for gaining freedom, protecting your interests, transforming reality, completing old stories and building a world that corresponds to inner beliefs. This time the desired will definitely come true, because Scorpio has achieved readiness and harmony. But the most important thing has not yet been said: the secret that will be revealed at the end is not a completion, but a beginning, a door to a new life that is already in front of Scorpio. Scorpio, the dictates of fate require immediate action, without a shadow of doubt or hesitation. Let the flow of energy, simmering in the very depths of your being, burst out, embodied in the words blazing fire on the pages. The sacred code 71269 is activated, invoking the angel of abundance. Not as a petitioner, but as the ruler of his destiny, Scorpio must claim his rights. Not a plea, but a commanding decree, a vibrational signal that can open the gates of opportunity. Scorpio, more than anyone else, understands the power of intention, for when he makes a decision, nothing can stop him. That's exactly what he did, listening to his inner voice, opening himself up to new knowledge, setting aside cynicism and coldness, putting his soul into it. He activated his energy field, becoming a receiver and conductor, tuned to the right wave. After all, money, as you know, comes not to those who desperately need it, but to those who are ready to accept it without destroying themselves. Scorpio already knows this, because he has not once been at the bottom, experienced ups and downs. He knows what it means to start from scratch, to endure silence, betrayal, emptiness and blockages, but always move forward. This time, however, it's not about simple survival. There is an era of awakening where the pursuit of wealth is no longer reprehensible. The desire for more is no longer a vice, and personal ambition is no longer hidden behind modest phrases. One seeks material well-being not for the sake of boasting, but for independence, freedom of choice and the ability to influence the course of events, living life with energy and self-esteem. For representatives of the sign of Scorpio, these changes are becoming increasingly obvious. Obstacles that previously held back progress disappear, and financial issues begin to be resolved. Returns missed opportunities, often in an improved form. Having overcome internal barriers, Scorpios watch closed doors begin to open. When sincere intention is backed up by words, a new channel opens up and what seemed impossible begins to flow. During this period it is especially important to maintain a positive attitude, to keep presence of mind, to be resolute and clear in your intentions. It is necessary to cultivate the code of success that is already embedded inside. Finally, the sacred code 71269, symbolizing angelic abundance, is activated. This is the time for action, and it would be a mistake to underestimate the importance of this moment. It is not enough to simply repeat known truths, it is necessary to feel their depth and meaning. It is a sequence that carries history, weight and vitality, that did not arise by chance. It is a call, a precise frequency capable of cleansing, ordering and moving forward. When a member of the sign of Scorpio activates this frequency, everything around him begins to come into motion. He may have already noticed the manifestation of this number in counting, in time, in dreams. Someone may mention it without realizing its significance. Scorpio may encounter it without seeking it, because it has already become part of his energy field, vibrating in unison with it. And every time he sees this number, a smile appears on his face, because he knows he is on the right track. At the same time, on a deeper level, there is a breaking down of old barriers. Internal shields, barriers erected unconsciously, fears of repeating past mistakes, thoughts of unworthiness, the desire to stay in the comfort zone, all of this is crumbling. Scorpio lets these barriers fall because he no longer needs them, they are no longer part of his personality, he no longer resonates with them. He now realizes that he can possess money without losing himself. He can have power without betraying his principles. He can grow without hardening his heart. He can accept the gifts of fate without fearing the consequences. And so this time he will not only receive, but he will give from abundance, from joy, from the realization that he has so much that he wants to share it with others. He will be so connected to the source of abundance that giving will not require effort, but will be a natural manifestation of his generosity. For Scorpio, a deep understanding of the true nature of abundance is revealed. Abundance is not a static accumulation of wealth, but a dynamic process of transformation, distribution and spiritual uplift, a path Scorpio has already embarked on. The major revelation, the key to understanding abundance, is very close at hand, and Scorpio is on the verge of discovering it. Abundance is not a quest, but rather a state that is embodied and reflected in a person's life. This is exactly what is happening to Scorpio right now. He has ceased to feel lack and the urge to acquire out of need. Instead of a desperate, "I want," he asserts, "This is mine," recognizing his belonging to abundance. This transformation of consciousness is so profound and real that it transforms his entire life. Scorpio no longer tries to achieve what he wants by force, but creates from a state of inner harmony and generates opportunities from his very essence, from a point where external influences are powerless. He realized that in order to achieve abundance, it was not necessary to put in more effort, but to expand his consciousness, maintain a high vibration and become a better person. That is exactly what he did. A simple ritual, a glass of salt and water filled with intention, opened energy portals for Scorpio. These portals are not symbolic, but quite real, energetic and functioning in the present moment. Now, looking at this glass, Scorpio sees not just water and salt, but something much more. Scorpio is now observing the reflection of his renewed vibrations, noticing clarity and feeling inner strength. His intentions have gained such firmness that they need no further clarification. Financial resources no longer avoid, obstruct, or delay him, but instead come easily and freely, as if they choose him. This is because Scorpio has stopped hiding his virtues, downplaying his importance and retreating into the shadows. Now he supports his state with his presence, which allows him to achieve what he wants without too much effort. Scorpio has activated a special code in himself, which began to vibrate from the moment of his conscious formation. It is about the sacred code 71269, associated with the angel of abundance. It is not just a set of numbers or a fancy expression, but a vibrational key that is already present in his energy field. Scorpio now notices this code everywhere, in ticket numbers, in dreams, in conversations, in dates and addresses. Each such appearance of the code is not accidental, but is a signal from his subconscious mind, confirming that the process has been initiated. Scorpio no longer needs to look for signs, as they now come to him on their own. As his vibrations expand, the last internal barriers are crumbling. The defense mechanisms and beliefs that previously said no, asserting the impossibility of achieving what he wants, disappear. Scorpio realizes that he can have material possessions while staying true to himself, conserving his energy and choosing the path his heart tells him to follow. He no longer needs to suffer in order to develop and grow. There is no longer a need to prove his own worth. There is no longer any need to be defensive about success, for the realization has come that affluence does not transform man, but only reveals his essence, showing all his potential, all his possibilities and all his merits. Now, driven by joy and abundance, one is ready to share, drawing from a source where there is no fear and no need for measurements, for abundance does not lead to loss, but only to increase. This is what Scorpio will experience firsthand. He will see changes in the reactions of those around him, in the transformation of the environment, in the appearance of the right people and the disappearance of the unnecessary. The lack is no longer his reality, his language, his home, his story. He is writing a new chapter, and the beautiful thing about it is that he is not acting from theoretical considerations, but from his true energy, from an ordered field and a liberated heart. What is missing, however, is the final touch, the final revelation, the master key that will confirm that this process has been not only powerful, but perfect. And Scorpio is about to get it. He knows it now, and he will know it without anyone else's clues. What has happened has gone far beyond symbolism. It was not a game or an experiment, but a genuine, powerful and profound transformation. Scorpio no longer invoked abundance as a vague prospect, but began to support it with his very existence, to embody it in words and radiate it around him. It was not just a ritual, but a complete reconfiguration, a radical rethinking of the relationship with financial resources. No more room for requests, Scorpio now makes the decisions. No more waiting for signs, he became that sign himself. The phrase, "if only," gave way to a confident, "this is now." And this transformation is obvious, it is reflected in his gaze, in his energy, in his vibrations. Scorpio, adept at navigating the dark waters, now knows how to shine the brightest. Having traveled through the depths, he has learned true rebirth and has risen from a new source of strength that does not deny the past, but does not repeat it either. Now a different Scorpio walks the world, one who remembers but does not blame. One who bears scars but knows no fear. One who is full of desires and allows himself to have them without hiding his aspirations. The individual ceases to restrain his innermost aspirations. He refuses to limit the horizons of his intentions in order to conform to someone else's ideas of comfort. From now on his choice is growth, expansion, multiplication, and the universe immediately responds to this call. Signs are manifesting everywhere. In the field of vision appear the right people, dormant projects get a new impetus, proposals that seemed finally rejected, return in an improved form. Financial flows flow to him, and he, the representative of the sign of Scorpio, is no longer surprised, because he realizes, feels and recognizes the power that he supports. At the heart of this power is the code he himself has created, proclaimed and felt. The activation of the sacred code 71269, symbolizing angelic abundance, was the spark, the key, and the ray that ignited his energy field, the sequence that ordered the invisible processes that now appear everywhere, on the face of the clock, in the ticket number, in the content of the message, in the images of dreams. And whenever this code meets him on his way, he will remember that it is not a coincidence, but the result of activation, decision and power. Now he not only receives benefits, but also shares them with others, but not out of a sense of duty, sacrifice, or a desire to diminish himself for the good of another. He gives because he has an excess, because the streams directed to him are so abundant, uninterrupted and harmonious that it is impossible to withhold them. And this generosity, Scorpio, does not deplete him, but exalts him, for the true channel of abundance does not tolerate stagnation, it presupposes circulation. And when giving is done from a pure heart, out of joy and fullness, everything is returned in multiplied amounts. This is what he is to experience. His energy field no longer accepts limitations. His essence no longer tolerates stagnation, his life is no longer driven by survival instinct. He now lives in a state of expansion, confidence and the natural magnetism that has always been inherent in him. And the most striking thing about it is that it does not require any extra effort. The individual undergoes an inner transformation to a higher level of vibration that allows them to make decisions with crystal clarity and choices without guilt. This process entails changes in his environment. People whose energy fields do not match his new state gradually leave his life. Superficial conversations lose their relevance, and excuses and guilt give way to harmony and confidence. This person becomes the epitome of confidence, determination and evolution. He feels and confirms these changes daily, anticipating the final stage, a golden nail, symbolizing the key that will complete the current process and usher in a new era. The representative of the sign of Scorpio will find not just a beautiful phrase or a symbolic object, but something much more significant, the core, the essence of the message that his soul has always known, but needed a reminder. The entire previous journey had been not a preparation, but a return to his roots, a reunion with what had always rightfully belonged to him, and now he was ready to accept it. Scorpio should remember that money is not something alien, dirty, or dangerous that can change him. Money is energy, and Scorpio is known to be a master of energy management. His mission in this world is to transform, to break down painful structures, to see what others fear, and to speak what others are silent about. He is endowed with keen intuition, high sensitivity, and unquenchable passion. The universe has endowed him with this fire, providing the fuel to sustain it as well. Abundance has always been part of his destiny, but over the years he has had to pay the price because of the fear and distrust instilled in him by those around him. He feared that having more money would lead to loss of connections, personality change and loneliness. But it was just a lie disguised as a warning, someone else's fear infiltrating his energy field. Today, Scorpio was freed from those shackles. The entire journey has been a process of cleansing, activating and reconnecting with his true self, his code and his truth. Now that the channel has been cleared and opened, the flow of abundance is ready to pour into him, surpassing expectations but not overwhelming. He already knows how to control this flow. It is important to realize that it is not money that is looking for him, but he himself has stopped hiding. For a long time, he blocked the flow of abundance unconsciously, using phrases like, "I can manage on my own," or "I don't need that much." It was a form of self-defense, an attempt to avoid suffering again. But today, Scorpio let go of all that and activated his decree, the sacred code 71269 of the Angel of Abundance. This decree marks a turning point, breaking down layers of self-sabotage and clearing old memories. It opens new paths where before there were only walls, attracting unexpected payments, lucrative offers, help that comes without asking, activating projects and ideas that turn into real money. For the first time, he will experience a stability that will allow him to share, sacrifice and invest in others without fear or doubt, knowing that the flow of abundance will not dry up. If this energy resonates in his soul, he should join the Scorpio Green Horoscope community, which will become his channel, his frequency, his fulcrum for maintaining this vibration. It is important to maintain this state without letting it fade away, without getting distracted or reverting to old patterns of behavior. And so, before concluding this important moment for you, it is suggested that you touch your chest, close your eyes, or say aloud, or even whisper in silence, the cherished words. It is important to declare your faith in abundance, which is steadily approaching, because his footsteps are already tangible, the process is launched. And this time, for the representatives of the sign of Scorpio, this abundance came with a firm intention to stay. Now, let me ask you, what feelings filled you when everything began to make sense and fall into place? What was the first thing your soul grasped, even before it was put into words? The author of these lines listens carefully to your feelings, trying to understand the depth of your experience.